Today, the 18th of July 2018, marks 100 years since the birth of Nelson Mandela, and the 2017 Mandela Washington Fellows are organizing a day of fun and exchange between the Namibia Football Association's Girls Center and the children from the Dolam Children's Home in honor of Nelson Mandela. Joining us this morning to give more information is the 2017 Mandela Washington Fellows. That's Lizette Feris and Justine Hamupolo. A very good morning to you, ladies, and many thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right. Before we get into the details of the event you're organizing, I'd first like to gauge you on, your recollection of Nelson Mandela. What did he resemble for you, and what did he mean to you, as an individual? Lizette?
Yeah, I think my story with Nelson really started in 2010 when I actually pledged on this day, in fact, 16 July 2010 in London. And I pledged to dedicate 67 minutes of my time in that year to children. It's been 8 years, and I'm still living and working. So for me, it was particularly relevant that Nelson has been, a liberation icon, not only for South Africa, but for Southern Africa. And it's such a great honor to still 100 years, to celebrate in his honor and messages that he's left. One of his key quotes that I really like that Nelson said is, what counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived, but it is what difference we make in the lives of others that is really significant. And we all want to be remembered for something, and I think if we just keep doing what we can, wherever we can, like Nelson said, take action, inspire change, make every day a Nelson Mandela Day, we'll have such a beautiful world,
Indeed. Justine?
Well, where do I start? I think growing up as a child, being born before independence and having parents that were politically engaged, it was one of those things that you could not, you can't ignore whatever happened in the political era. And so former President Nelson Mandela obviously made an entry into my life very early in life. I started following his stories. I even have books and videos of him until today. But basically what struck me about him and why I'm so relating to him is basically the values that he stands for. I live by the motto, aspire to inspire, basically because I believe that that is also what he lived by. It was not about impressing other people, but doing the little that you can in the way that you can, and just inspiring others to also do the same. And I think this day is just one of those days that signifies that he lived in that way, and so he inspired a whole lot of other people, including us, and that's why we have the day today.
And nothing resembles selflessness like Nelson Mandela.
Definitely.
Lizette, you guys are 2017 Washington Fellows. How does, the Washington Fellow sort of, engage on issues of volunteerism and addressing the plight of children in Namibia particularly?
Yeah, I think we just always get together, share ideas. When there's an activity, for example, like today, we just give out a call, who's interested, let's do it. And it's really a network of support, We try to support each other in everything that we do so that we can go further and make a bigger impact.
And I think in essence, when we look at the Mandela Washington Fellows in general, we must acknowledge that these are already leaders that do so much within the communities, and sometimes it is not seen. Days like this is just one of those days where we actually get together and collectively organize days where we then say, as this group, as this network, let's do something that can make a difference in someone else's life.
Indeed. And of course that difference that you guys are making is of course an exchange and an engagement that is between the Namibia Football Association's Girls Center as well as the children from the Dolam Children's Home. Let's talk about how you guys came up with this. I know it's inspired by Mandela Day, but why particularly this type of exercise and these stakeholders involved, or beneficiaries rather?
I think one is that because these are young Namibians, and because we want to also inspire these young people. Yes, it's the NFA Girls Center. These are girls that play football, that come from a diversity of spaces. And then we have the Dolam children kids that also has a diverse background. And it was important for us to say, instead of just using one group or volunteering towards one group, how about we bring these two different groups together, have them have fun, while we're there, but also have them exchange their experiences. They might be young, but they also have experiences.
Exactly.
And they might also learn from one another in terms of who they are, because they're peers.
Indeed.
And at the end of the day, hopefully they would also inspire each other. Who knows, we might have our super footballer coming from the Toldam's Children Home very soon, because they're inspired by the others who play football. And vice versa, you never know.
Exactly.
So I think in essence for me that is one of the core reasons, bringing these two groups of kids together and then just having them have fun, exchange their experiences, but ultimately learn from each other and appreciating what other young leaders can do for them.
And it's coupled with sport, of course, you know, just a little bit of fun. Lizette, tell us about that. How exactly do you see the day play out?
Well, we'll start off with football, actually, so we'll do mixed teams and just a bit of fun. And then we'll go into watching a DVD, a motivational talk by Joanna Benson. And then we'll go into a discussion about, you know, how you can overcome challenges regardless of your background and your situations. And then we'll go into storytelling around a fire. Nice. So we'll make a traditional poiki course, and we'll share stories there, because one of the biggest things that we want to achieve is this exchange. It's, you know, for us to be vulnerable and to say it's okay to be vulnerable, and because you can do it, I can do it, you know. And so between these children kids who are all displaced at the moment, they're both in places of safety. They're not with their parents, they're not with their relatives. So it's important for them to also know that you're not alone. Ultimately, you know, there's many of us, different situations, but ultimately, you know, similar stories at the end of the day, because we all have stories of struggle and overcoming them. And that's what we really want to celebrate on this 100th birthday of Nelson Mandela, is to say that, yes, we've all achieved something, you know, and let's celebrate that for a change.
Indeed. What time is it starting, and where exactly will this be taking place?
We're looking to start our activities around 2 o'clock. Up until 5 o'clock. Hopefully we stick within the time limit.
Not too much fun, you get carried away.
Yeah, and basically, like with the games, we'll have it at the NFA Technical Center. Okay. It's a bit closed off because of the renovations that are happening. However, we're planning to have it safe for the kids and for them to just engage and have fun.
Lizette, earlier you spoke about, you know, making every day Mandela Day, you know, practicing kindness, selflessness every day. You know, just what message do you have for our viewers this morning, and how can we go about being Mandelas every day of our lives, or for the rest of our lives?
Yeah, I think it starts with kindness. It starts with kindness towards yourself. It starts with kindness to the next person. If you see that person walking in and they're not themselves, say something kind. Give them a hug out of the blue, you know. I think one of the, hugging is always something that works magic, you know. The minute you touch somebody, it changes them as well as you. So, and you'll feel better. I tell you, I've been working for 8 years, doing a lot of volunteerism, spending my own money to make things happen. But at the end of the day, the reward has all been for me in terms of the impact, you know. It's so amazing working with children, because you can literally see that growth over a period of time. You know, when you bend that tree and it starts growing in that shape. And of course, there's so many influences, and that's one of the beauties of today as well, where we get so many Namibians together to celebrate in honor of Nelson Mandela and to share our stories and learn and grow into the nation that we should be.
Indeed. Justine, any final remarks from you this morning?
Well, I say, like I said before, I live by the motto, aspire to inspire. I always carry a smile with me. You ask me how I am, I'm always good. Yeah. And not necessarily that I might be good, but it's more about the other person as well. Indeed. Like Lizette said, it's about that kindness that you show the next person. And surely that person will carry that kindness to the next person. And if we continue that trend, very soon all of us will be kind to each other, and all of us will become the Mandelas of today. So my final remarks would be for everyone out there, go into your communities on a daily basis, smile, give that hug, live and do the little that you can. It might not be significant, or it might not be big money, or whatever not, but do the little that you can to make someone else smile.
Fantastic. Many thanks for joining us this morning, and all the best with this, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Those were the 2017 Mandela Washington Fellows, Lizette Feris, as well as Justine Hamupolo, speaking to us this morning about an event they are organizing in memory of, that is, the late Nelson Mandela. Today marks 100 years since the birth of Nelson Mandela on the 18th of July 1918. And of course, they will be having a day of fun and exchange between the Namibia Football Association's Girls Center and the children from Dolam Children's Home in honor of Nelson Mandela. They'll be having some football activities, motivational talks, as well as storytelling. And like Nelson Mandela said, what counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made in the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. Do stay with us.